ban on the use of plastic on high courts. The petition was also withdrawn. The girlfriend of slain gangster Sandeep Gadoli, Divya Pahuja, and her mother was sent to police custody till July 20th by a Metropolitan Magistrate Court in Mumbai. The Bombay High Court today issued notice to the Law and Judiciary Department of Maharashtra asking accepted the Apex Court's order that entrance to medical courses will be conducted through NEET starting this year and later reversed it through the ordinance. The Supreme Court on Wednesday dismissed the PIL against WhatsApp and other messenger services with end-to-end encryption filed by RTI activist Sudhir Yadav. The court pointed out that if Yadav was worried about national security, he should go to the concerned department. The petitioner had appeared in person. The Supreme Court today issued notice to Punjab Technical University in R.D. Anand versus Punjab Technical University and ANR and will look into the matter. The case is related to a decision taken by the Punjab Technical University wherein it admitted some students directly into the second semester of BTech, MBA and MCA courses from December 2012 to January 2013. The course had started in August 2012. Therefore, the university had decided that the students admitted in December 2012 to January 2013 period will commence studies in the second semester along with the students who had been admitted in August 2012. The university decided that the students would cover the first semester course during the summer break after the second and fourth semester courses were over. The first order in the much-awaited challenge to Section 377 filed by a group of leading citizens who are members of the gay community in India was issued by the Supreme Court today. The court held that they could not hear it before the decision in the already pending curative petition filed by the NAS Foundation on the same subject was heard. They ordered that this fresh petition, Navtej Singh Johar and others versus Union of India by well-known citizens, Chef Ritu Dalmia, hotelier Aman Nath, business executive Akshay Kapoor, journalist Sunil Mehra and dancer N.S. Johar should be sent to the court of the Chief Justice of India as he is hearing the curative petition by the NAS Foundation. Earlier in February 2016, the court had ordered that the petition by the NAS Foundation be heard by a constitution bench. The Supreme Court on Wednesday gave one last opportunity to state governments to file reports of compliance in Avinash Mehrotra versus Union of India and others. A petition was filed after the fire tragedy in a Kumbakonam school in 2004 in which 93 children were burnt alive. The petition sought the implementation of safety measures in schools to prevent such tragedies. The Apex Court has also directed the centre to file a comprehensive report in 4 weeks when the matter will again be heard. In April 2009, the Supreme Court had directed that safety measures as prescribed by the National Building Code of India 2005 be implemented by all government and private schools functioning in the country. The court also directed that before granting recognition or affiliation, the concerned state government and union territories must ensure that the buildings are safe and secure from every angle and they are constructed according to the safety norms incorporated in the National Building Code of India. A petition has been filed in the Supreme Court questioning the legality, validity and rationale of the decision taken by Punjab Technical University to admit the students directly in the second semester of BTech, MBA and MCA courses. As per this decision taken by the Punjab Technical University, the students who were admitted would undertake studies in second semester along with others who are admitted to this course in first semester. The former, however, would cover the course of first semester during summer break after the second and fourth semesters. The suo motu writ petition has been registered by the Supreme Court for considering the rights of Muslim women in issues concerning marriage, divorce and maintenance and whether the current practices under Muslim personal law regarding marriage, divorce and maintenance are violative of Part 3 of the Constitution. Hearing in a writ petition in Supreme Court regarding displaced people of Bangladesh's minority communities, that is Hindu, Buddhists, Sikh and Christians who have been forced out from their homes migrated to India after 25th March 1971 and given status of refugees. Hearing in Bombay High Court in a petition that has raised various issues regarding animal welfare in wildlife sanctuaries as well as zoos. The petition has sought investigation in actor Jia Khan's death. The petitioner is likely to file a rejoinder on CBI's report which says that Jia Khan had committed suicide. Hearing in Supreme Court in a PIL filed in 1983 challenging various construction activities which according to the petitioners will lead to environmental complications in Doon Valley. It is alleged that various illegal construction activities were being carried out in the forest as well as non-forest areas which is causing immense damage to the environment. A PIL will come up in the Supreme Court pertaining to 6 Narmada Dam project affected persons in Maharashtra and 30 Narmada Dam project affected persons in Madhya Pradesh. During last hearing, the government received accounting system report was filed in a sealed cover. The court directed that copy of the report to be given to the petitioner. Hearing in the Board of Control for Cricket versus Cricket Association of Bihar case in the Supreme Court will be held today. During the last hearing, Professor Ratnakar Shetty, Chief Administrative Officer of BCCI, addressed the court on allocation of funds to different cricket associations. He informed that 70% of funds generated from media rights are utilized by the BCCI and the remaining amount is used for infrastructure subsidy. There will be a hearing in the Bombay High Court in a petition regarding shifting of High Courts to some other place. Hearing in Bombay High Court in a petition challenging the land allotment to Indian Oil at RA Milk Colony will be held today. It is stated that allotment was not as per prescribed procedure. There will be a hearing in the Bombay High Court in a petition contending that equal opportunity should be given to disabled persons in military in the light of Equal Opportunities Protection of Rights and Full Participation Act. Charges are likely to be framed in singer Ankit Tiwari rape case which is due for hearing in Bombay Sessions Court today. The Allahabad High Court will hear a petition alleging flouting of rules by NCR Planning Board. The CJM Court in Lucknow will hear a petition against the statement given by actor Salman Khan comparing physical stress with the condition of a raped woman.
The long ongoing legal issue between Britain and European Union on the subject of Brexit reached an unusual flashpoint in London on Saturday, as Britain's Conservative Society was in a celebratory mood for Queen's 90th birthday. Brexit protesters shocked everyone by going nude in central London. India Legal Live team was present there on the spot to capture the nude protests live. The peaceful protest went on for almost 4 hours without the police trying to disrupt or intervene. For London, known world over as a traditional and conservative
against a campaign for Britain to leave the European Union after the car maker's logo was used in Brexit pamphlets. Nissan, which employs 8,000 people in the UK, said it was taking its claims to the High Court in London in order to prevent the Vote Leave campaign from making additional false statements about company's position on the EU. Leaflets titled EU Mythbuster produced by Vote Leave identified Nissan and 5 other multinational companies that it claimed would stay in the UK whatever the result of the referendum. The campaign also asserted that Vauxhall, General Electric, Unilever, Airbus and Toyota Motor would keep the UK manufacturing facilities even if Vote Leave was victorious on June 23rd, when citizens will vote to decide whether the UK should leave or remain in the EU. A UK court on Tuesday rejected India's plea to dismiss Pakistan's claim to nearly ₹350 crore under the Hyderabad Fund case. In a release, Pakistan Foreign Office said, the English High Court rejected Indian attempt to strike out Pakistan's claim to the Hyderabad Fund on June 21, 2016. India failed to persuade the court that Pakistan's position was unattainable and that it could show no legal entitlement to the 350 crores sitting in a bank account in the name of the High Commissioner of Pakistan since September 20, 1948. However, the Ministry of External Affairs said that pending trial or settlement of the matter, it is premature to reach any conclusion, especially as the present judgment readily acknowledges that there is much force in many of India's arguments. The US Supreme Court nears the finish line with the most contentious cases still to be resolved. This year is no exception. Among the court's 8 remaining cases are regulation of Texas abortion clinics, race in college admissions, protections for people living in the US illegally, and the public corruption conviction of Virginia's former governor.
Police does not justify the framing of charges by the trial court. The court, referring to various apex court decisions, also said that it is absolutely essential for the trial court to summarily state the basis on which it forms an opinion justifying the framing of charges against an accused. These observations were made in a revision petition filed by persons against whom charges under Section 306 were framed by the trial court. The court also allowed the revision petition and discharged the accused. The Enforcement Directorate or ED attached shares worth rupees 86 crores belonging to 3 companies from Singapore, Mauritius and Dubai in connection with the Augusta Westland VVIP chopper scam. The foreign entities had invested in Indian companies linked to the scam. Based on searches, ED issued freezing orders under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act against shares worth rupees 86 crores owned by the companies in Dubai, Mauritius and Singapore. The ED had earlier conducted searches on June 15th at 10 locations of these companies in Delhi, Mumbai and Hyderabad and unearthed evidences of transfer of funds linked to a Mauritius-based company, Interstellar. The Hyderabad High Court told the Telangana government that it will not allow axing of even a single tree inside the KBR park. The court, while hearing a public interest petition filed by environmentalist K. Purushottam Reddy, challenged the state's Strategic Road Development Project or SRDP and said that felling of trees was not a solution. The US Supreme Court on June 20th limited the scope of federal racketeering law, handing R.J. Reynolds American Tobacco Company a victory in its efforts to fend off a lawsuit by European Union nations accusing the company of running a global money laundering scheme involving narcotics smuggling in Europe. The court in its ruling reversed a lower court decision that backed the EU and 26 member states. The court in its judgment said that allowing foreign investors to pursue private suits in the United States would upset that delicate balance and offend the sovereign interests of foreign nations. In a pair of decisions delivered on June 20th, the US Supreme Court again demonstrated its defense to law enforcement priorities, in one case by expanding an exception to the long-standing ruling requiring that unlawfully gathered evidence be discarded, and in another by holding that drug dealers, even those engaged only in street corner sales, are engaged in interstate commerce. The two decisions expand the ability of local police to skirt the law without effective punishment on the one hand, and allow prosecutors to use weight of the federal criminal justice system to come down on small-time criminals whose cases would normally be the purview of local authorities on the other. The US Supreme Court refused on June 21st to hear a Second Amendment challenge to a Connecticut law banning many semi-automatic rifles. The law, enacted in 2013 in the wake of the mass shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut, made it a crime to sell or possess the firearms which critics call assault weapons. The court's action underlined its reluctance to insert itself into the simmering national debate on gun control. The Supreme Court issued important rulings in gun cases in 2008 and 2010 but has not taken up a major firearms case since then. The US Supreme Court upheld a system that has helped companies like Google and Apple invalidate hundreds of disputed patents without having to go to court. The nation's highest court backed the rules using an administrative board that critics have labeled a death squad because of its tendency to throw out patents. The case divided the technology industry and the broader business community. Google, Apple, Samsung Electronics and the generic pharmaceutical and banking industries support the system as a way to weed out dubious patents. The biotechnology and brand name drug industries, along with ExxonMobil and Tessera Technologies, said the rights of patent owners are being unfairly undercut. Censor board troubles do not seem to die down as the new Malayalam film Kathakali has been refused a certificate, following which the makers have moved the court against the board's directive. The director of the Malayalam film Kathakali, Saidjokana Naikal, along with other filmmakers of the Film Employees Federation of Kerala, or FEFKA, protested outside the Central Board of Film Certification's regional office today against the board's decision to not certify the film. The fresh controversy surrounding Kathakali has brought the debate on film censorship to the forefront again, following the recent controversy when the movie Urta Punjab was caught in the same rigmarole. A record number of British solicitors are registering to practice in Ireland over fears of a vote to leave the EU. The Law Society of Ireland, which is the educational, representative and regulatory body of the solicitors' profession, superficial government excuses for failing to provide evidence sought by a higher court. The Supreme Court has dismissed a plea of a 92-year-old murder convict seeking exemption from surrendering before police. The Supreme Court dismissed the special leave petition filed by the convict against the judgment by Lucknow bench of Allahabad High Court, which had upheld his conviction by the trial court. The incident is related to an honor killing which happened in the year 1980 in the Unnao district in Uttar Pradesh. The trial court had convicted 3 persons in the murder. All of them were sentenced by the trial court for life imprisonment. The Conservator of Forest and Wildlife has urged the Bombay High Court to decide on the fate of around 500 exotic birds and animals rescued by the police. Earlier, Conservator M.M. Kulkarni was asked by the court to give a report on 2 NGOs that have the required facilities to rehabilitate birds and animals. In his affidavit filed before the High Court, Kulkarni stated that a team of experts visited 2 NGOs, Animal Rescue and Rehabilitation Centre in Katraj and My Vets Charitable Trust and Research Centre in Panvel, and checked their facilities, which were found to be good enough to house the rescued birds and animals. The Supreme Court did not put on hold the centre's order on culling of nilgai and wild boars in Bihar and Uttarakhand and monkeys in Himachal Pradesh. It also did not issue any interim order on the matter, which will now be taken up on July 15th. The court, however, permitted the activists who had filed a PIL on the issue to make representations to the central government and state governments. The US Supreme Court is likely to take a call today on the legality of the semi-automatic rifles used in the recent mass shooting at Orlando nightclub in Connecticut. It would decide a challenge to a Connecticut prohibition of semi-automatic rifles. Gun rights groups and individual firearm owners have been advocating that the Connecticut prohibition of semi-automatic rifles violates the US Constitution's Second Amendment guarantee of the right to bear arms. The Obama administration's proposal to revive its 2014 plan to protect up to 4 million people from deportation could be taken up by the Supreme Court in the coming days. The administration has faced criticism from the states on the proposal. The states have sued the administration and argued that the plan is illegal and contravenes the current federal immigration law. On the contrary, the administration has held that the states have no legal basis to litigate, as immigration law falls under the ambit of the federal government. By the end of June 2006, the US Supreme Court will also give rulings in major high-profile cases such as racial preferences in university admissions, unilateral immigration plan, and a restrictive Texas abortion law. A legal document submitted by the Asia Pacific Institute of International Law, or APIIL, at the Permanent Court of Arbitration at The Hague may lead to the deferment of an international tribunal's ruling on territorial claims in the South China Sea. The 41-page legal document maintains that the case is beyond the jurisdiction of the Permanent Court of Arbitration, or PCA, in The Hague. Earlier on June 6, 2016, the APIIL had filed an amicus curiae brief on the arbitration led by the Philippines to the tribunal. Several lawyers and legal luminaries from China's Hong Kong, Britain and Australia endorsed the brief. A recent judgment of the Himachal Pradesh High Court held that lack of injury marks on the body of a rape survivor does not disprove that rape took place. The High Court said that absence of injury on the body of the accused, or for that matter, prosecutrix, would not render her version in any manner to be false or doubtful. Exact location of the angle in which she was subjected to intercourse cannot be left to the imagination of the doctor, in whose view there ought to have been some marks on the buttocks of the prosecutrix. After all, there were injury marks on the face of the prosecutrix, which she has stated to be on account of gagging of her mouth. The rape victim survivor was a young village girl, a student of class 10th, who had gone out to the fields at night to relieve herself when she was attacked by the accused and raped. Her aunt, who came out at that time, witnessed the incident and called other women to the spot. Upon arrival of the women, the accused fled. The rape survivor's testimony, along with the testimony of the witnesses plus the other evidence, were anyway sufficient to convict the accused. The accused put up an argument that the complaint was filed with the police after one full day. The court, however, found that the delay occurred because the head of the family was away at that time. It observed that in rural areas, generally people are reluctant to report the matter till the arrival of the head of the family. Thus, there is no delay in lodging the FIR. With criminals jumping ship to escape the long arm of the law at home, the 1969 Supreme Court ruling in state of West Bengal versus Jugal Kishore More gains importance. In this case, the accused Jugal Kishore More was convicted for criminal conspiracy in foreign exchange violation. The accused had an address in Hong Kong where he fled to after committing the offence. He was later extradited from Hong Kong for trial. However, he challenged his extradition on the basis that it was without authority in the absence of a notified order under Section 3 of the Extradition Act 1962, which could have added Hong Kong to the list of countries to which the act was applicable. The Calcutta High Court had quashed the extradition. However, the verdict was overruled by the Supreme Court, which stated, "But that did not, in our judgment, operate as a bar to the requisition made by the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, if they were able to persuade the Colonial Secretary Hong Kong to deliver More for trial in the country. If the Colonial Secretary of Hong Kong was willing to hand over More for trial in this country, it cannot be said that the warrant issued by the Chief Presidency Magistrate." They had been living separately for a long time, and earlier that her petition for restitution of conjugal rights has been dismissed. In this appeal by the husband, the Delhi High Court pointed out that the trial court had disbelieved one of the witnesses, who had claimed that the wife misbehaved with her husband in front of him, on the ground that he was known to the husband's family. It ruled that family, friends and persons known to the parties would be the most natural witnesses in the matrimonial case. The Supreme Court's guidelines on mental cruelty, as spelled out in an earlier case, were also referred to by the High Court. Of great concern was the fact that the wife had threatened the husband's family in a letter with veiled references to filing cases against them. She did, in fact, resort to filing cases under the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005, which failed for non-prosecution. Such attempts to misuse the law as a weapon to threaten anyone cannot be condoned. In this instance, it certainly formed a part of a chain of behavior demonstrating mental cruelty. The quantum of sentence for 24 convicts in the Gulbarg Society massacre was finally pronounced today by Special SIT Court. It awarded life imprisonment to 11 out of the 24 convicts, while 12 others were handed 7 years of punishment and one convict was given 10 years imprisonment. On June 2nd, the court had convicted 11 persons for murder and other offences, while remaining 13 others were charged with lesser offences. 69 people, including former Congress MP Ehsan Zafri, were killed in the Gulbarg Society massacre. 14-year-old rape survivor has been allowed by the Gujarat High Court to terminate her 22-week pregnancy. The court contended that abortion was in the best interest of the teenager. The survivor had filed a petition for abortion on the grounds of her tender age. She had stated in the petition that the continuance of the pregnancy would have dire consequences on her health and well-being. According to the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, abortion is prohibited beyond a 20-week pregnancy. The constitutional validity of Section 18 of the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Act 2006 was upheld by the High Court of Madras. The petition filed by Refex Energy Limited had said that the company for the supply of galvanized steel structures, solar module mounting structures, had placed 3 work orders with Passive Infra Projects Private Limited. But Passive Infra Projects Private Limited, due to disagreement, filed claim petition under Section 18 of the MSMED Act 2006 against Refex Energy Limited. Even after a month, state governments have not complied on the directions of the Supreme Court to provide relief to the drought-affected people, social activists have alleged. The activists who visited the drought-hit areas found that the Supreme Court order on implementing various central schemes to provide relief to distressed farmers remained non-existent. Social activists in a report lambasted the non-compliance of states and centre on the issue, citing that mitigation measures including farm loan restructuring, implementation of midday meal schemes, disbursement of crop loss compensation and providing employment through MGNREGA were not acted upon. In a unanimous decision, the US Supreme Court ruled that the Department of Veteran Affairs was unsuccessful to abide by a law intended at raising the quantity of federal contracts given to small businesses owned by handicapped old-timers. The court upheld the petition of a veteran-owned contractor, King Domeware Technologies, saying that it should have been reckoned to render services for a VA medical center. A Japanese court has upheld an order to halt Takama nuclear reactors. Operator of the reactors Kansai Electric Power said in a statement that it was very regrettable that the petition for stay of execution was not approved, hoping that the court would cancel the injunction soon. On March 9th, the Otsu District Court had ordered Kansai Electric to shut down the reactors in Fukui, the capital of Fukui Prefecture along the Sea of Japan. The Special Court of Ahmedabad will pronounce the quantum of punishment to the 24 held guilty in the Gulbarg Society massacre case. The Punjab and Haryana High Court will hear the petition urging to lift the interim stay on the reservation given to 6 castes, including the Jats. During the last hearing on 6th of June, the High Court had refused to remove the stay. A division bench of the Allahabad High Court will hear a petition challenging the alleged flouting of rules in the recruitment of 72,000 paramilitary force personnel. A single bench had dismissed the petition in this regard. The Lucknow bench of the Allahabad High Court will hear a petition by IPS officer Amitabh Thakur, who was not allowed to go to Mathura by the state government after the Jawahar Bagh incident. The Bombay High Court recently lambasted the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation or BMC. The court pulled it up for not filling potholes before the arrival of monsoon and asked BMC to make sure these are repaired quickly. While hearing a suo motu PIL on the rising potholes in the city, the court showed concern that these were leading to accidents and deaths of motorists. While placing its compliance report in the High Court, the BMC informed that 90% of the road repair and maintenance work in the city had been completed and the remaining 10% would be finished before the onset of monsoon this year. The BMC also sustained injuries. The investigating team, led by Kuttiyadi Circle Inspector Dinesh Koroth, had filed the charge sheet against the accused on April 18th at the Nadapuram First Class Magistrate Court. They were charged for murder under Section 302, attempt to murder under Section 307, voluntarily causing hurt by dangerous weapons or means under Section 324, inciting riots under Section 147, harboring offender under Section 212 and destroying evidence under Section 201. The Supreme Court will hear today a petition of an alleged rape victim challenging Kalanidhi Maran along with 4 others have been pending in the court. The Allahabad High Court will examine an affidavit today by concerned officials on the status of putting the ban on sale and purchase of chewing tobacco and also removing the ads in the circle of 500 meters of courts and educational institutions in Allahabad. The court on the previous hearing had directed offshore bank accounts as revealed in Panama Papers to September 27th. Beena Ramani, the owner of Tamarind Court, where model Jessica. The Supreme Court will hear a PIL with regard to National Disaster Management. Supreme Court is monitoring the implementation of provisions of National Disaster Management Act (NDMA) by every state. NDMA of each state was directed through the chief secretaries of all the states, requiring them to frame minimum standards of relief for victims, which bans dance performances during the upcoming monsoon session. The Law Ministry has prepared a cabinet note on a bill changing the names of the high courts. According to senior ministry sources, not only state governments but also the high courts have to concur with the same name changes, as it involves technical issues regarding statute books and the fact that thus. During the hearing, the Education Board's counsel defended the policy, saying it was written in the calendar of the board, Section 10 of Chapter 10 in sub-rules. Parents filed these petitions against the Education Board for